Okay, so I'm just going to explain some now simple things, and then we're going to do some meditation. So, yes, and I won't even make you do too much analytical meditation tonight. We can do next week. So next week we will do the meditation on the 8 worldly concerns, but I thought to just give it a week to settle and digest, and so we'll wait to meditate on it until next week. This week we will do the Shakyamuni Buddha meditation that some of you have done before using the mantra. And I'll just do a slightly deeper version than the last time I was here, now that we've talked about refuge. So that's what's coming. Now, I thought just to give some context about logistics. Okay, so, sorry? Okay, so logistics of, so if people want to be Buddhist, I want to explain what happens so that you have your eyes open. And if you don't want to be Buddhist, you will know what's happening with the Buddhist people, right? Right? So, kind of what happens. So, what I said before, your primary refuge is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, if you want to be a Buddhist. Now, if your primary refuge is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and you take a minute and you think, yep, you're a Buddhist. Done, right? Like that's all it takes, yeah? Yeah. Now what happens logistically is there's a ceremony, yeah? Lots of people, you hear about refuge ceremonies. Yeah, yeah, you took one. Oh. There's a whole bunch of Buddhists in the room, I never knew. Secret Buddhist, you can't tell by looking, right? So the reason that you do a ceremony is that it increases the strength, it increases the impact, and when you make something sacred, you give it more energy, you give it more value, it has more impact, right? So you don't have to, right? If you want to be a secret Buddhist that no one knows about and you never do a ceremony, it's just quietly in your heart, you still are, right? Really it is just from the depths of your heart going for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's it. Now, when you do the ceremony, other things are happening besides that. Extra things are happening. So it's important that you know that in case, you know, there's one of these Tibetan lamas around. It's not just refuge that's happening. You're making a commitment with that teacher specifically. Okay, so you have to make sure they're a good teacher. You have to make sure you have some connection with them, that you've sussed them out, you know, that they're a good ethical creature, you know, that they're a kind person. There's something extra happening when you take refuge from a teacher. You're also making a guru-disciple relationship. Yeah, so just make sure you know that in the back of your mind. If you think, yep, I think I'm ready to do this refuge ceremony, wait until it's one of your teachers, yeah? Don't be like, yeah, I'm ready, here's one, and just go for it, because it might be troublesome later if you don't have a good relationship with that teacher. Okay, other good things that are happening if you take a refuge ceremony is you're connecting to the unbroken lineage from the time of Shakyamuni Buddha. So the unbroken oral tradition, so that does give some power and some extra meaning to the whole process. It's a beautiful thing. So if you want to do it in a ceremony, you can, but you don't have to. That's the main point. Now, if you do the ceremony, becoming a Buddhist just means Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But in the ceremony, you have an extra option to take vows if you want to, right? Lay people vows, not monk and nun vows, don't worry. Nice and gentle. So you can take any of these 5 vows. And that's quite nice, right? You can choose. So if 5 is too many, you can pick 4. If 4 is too many, you can pick 3.
Rinpoche added a 6th one this time. It's the first time that I've heard.
What was
Celibacy.
Oh, you could opt for celibacy, right? Hardcore. No sex. Cool. Yeah. Anyway, so, okay. So it depends on the lama. Some lamas, just focus for a sec.
It says celibacy and everybody.
I know, they're so excited, right? No sex. Okay, so, all right. Celibacy means no sex. You don't have to take that one. Okay, chill out. That's actually not even on the list. Okay, all right, so you're with me? All right. Some lamas say, when you take refuge from me, you must take all 5. Some lamas say, when you take refuge from me, you can take any of the 5 in any combination that you want. Okay, just so you know. Now, these are big vows, but it actually takes a lot to break them. Okay, so the first vow is not to kill. Now, that does mean don't kill anything. Don't kill ants, don't kill mosquitoes, don't kill anything. But to break it from the root, you have to kill a human being on purpose, right? So it doesn't take very much to transgress it, but it does take quite a bit to do it on purpose. Now, in a country like this, it's not such a given that you could all take that, right? So if you're, currently in the military, you might not be able to take that vow, but you could still take the other ones, and it would have a lot of power. Yeah. If in the past you've killed people, or either in the military, or you've had an abortion, or something like that, that doesn't prohibit you from taking it from this point forward, right? So you could take it from this point forward, no killing. So this is incredibly powerful because it might be that you haven't killed anything recently, right? And you're a nice non-killing person, but making the vow not to kill means every second of every day you're not killing. It's got intention and weight and power even while you sleep. So the amount of mental momentum or merit is huge, because before you were incidentally not killing. Now you're intentionally not killing.
There's also a saying in Hebrew about it.
Huh.
גדול מצווה ועושה מאשר אינו מצווה ועושה. It's
אתה
better
מדבר
that
ככה שלא שומעים.
גדול מצווה ועושה מאשר אינו מצווה ועושה. It's better that when you are ordered not to do something and you don't do it, than if you do it just on default.
Lip service, yeah. Yeah, so, really this is optional, right? So during a refuge ceremony, if you don't want to take any of them, you don't have to. It's just an opportunity to do things that create more merit, more positive karma, more mental momentum. So it's an amazing opportunity, because a lot of the trouble we have in study and understanding has nothing to do with our intelligence. It has to do with karmic obscurations. So if we're creating amazing amounts of positive karma all the time with holding these vows, it's really going to save time. So it also helps you, we have a lot of confusion about decisions, and if you've already made a decision, it saves time. Yeah? So, if you're cleaning your kitchen and there's ants all over the counter, at this point you might think, wipe over them? Don't wipe over them. Kill them? Don't kill them. Oh, I don't know. If you've made the vow not to kill, you're like, oh, I already decided not to. Okay, what am I going to do? I need to find a duster. I need to get some gentle paper towels. What am I going to do? You've already decided you're not killing, right? So that moment of angst, should I, shouldn't I? You've decided.
But then if you kill them?
And then if you kill them, it's heavier. Yeah, it's heavier because you're breaking your promise, right? So, it's a big deal to take these, but it's incredibly powerful if you take these. You can also do refuge ceremonies more than once. So it could be the first time you take refuge, you think, okay, pretty sure I can not steal. All right, I'll take no stealing. The rest of them, not sure. Yeah, and then the next time you do no stealing, no sexual misconduct or something like that. So you can slowly increase each time you take refuge. That's okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so then not to steal. Stealing in Buddhism means it's taking something that hasn't been freely offered. Yeah, and it has to belong to someone else, right? So taking wild flowers is not stealing, right? Because they don't belong to anyone. But taking your neighbor's flowers is stealing because they haven't been freely offered to you, right? So to break it, to transgress it, doesn't take very much, right? You could be taking your neighbor's flowers. But to break it from the root, it has to be something of value, something that you could go to the police for. Yeah, so something that is legally dodgy. Yeah, legally dodgy. So what that means is going to vary country to country, and it says in the Dharma, do what the country says. So if in this country stealing means stealing that amount, you could be persecuted, then you're breaking it. If in that country you do that amount. Yeah, so it's very much based in the laws of the land. These are basic vows. They are the basis for any other vows you want to take, like bodhisattva vows, or tantric vows, or ordination vows. To take any other kind of Buddhist vows, you need to hold refuge. Yeah. You need to hold refuge. These vows, okay, so these are your optional extras, right? So not to kill, not to steal. Now lying not lying, again, that's quite hard, right? But the fact that you know that is a good sign. You're not lying to yourself, right? So again, any lie transgresses it, but to break it from the root, you have to lie about a spiritual attainment such that the people that you say it to believe you. So it has to be a spiritual attainment that's kind of above a certain level. So if you say, I have realized emptiness directly, and you haven't, you break it from the root. So don't say that, because you probably haven't, I haven't.
Nobody's going to believe you, so take something better.
Right, so to break it from the root has to be a big lie, right? A lie about a spiritual attainment. Why? Because that creates the most damage, right? If people believe you, then they're going to follow you, and you're going to lead them into mistakes, right? So that's a huge lie. It's not a lie if you think you've realized emptiness directly, but you haven't, and you're telling everyone that. Still not skillful, right? But if you believe it, it's not a lie, right? So there's a general rule in Buddhism that you should never talk about your spiritual attainments, good or bad, less or more. Just don't talk about them. It's private. Also, people can't check. Yeah, people can't check your spiritual attainment, so it's not helpful to say, I've achieved this, I've achieved that. It's not a good idea, because it opens the door for these culty things, right? It opens the door for a charismatic leader who speaks very well to assemble a lot of disciples and say, now give me all your money and women, right? You know, it like opens the door to these things. So if you come across a teacher that says, I have this realization or that realization, run.
Yes.
Yeah? Run. Yeah, really run. And, you know, tell all your friends. Yeah.
This is one of the things that I like about FPMT.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there's some structure, right? And built in, like, prevention of dodginess. Yeah.
But how do you know if somebody realized emptiness?
Well, you don't. That's the point. They should never say it.
You know what you said before, that you have to get it from someone, the teaching, from someone who realized emptiness. So
Well, and in that context, when you're looking for a guru,
yeah.
it's someone who has a perfect intellectual understanding. Intellectual understanding, right? So that's different than the realization. Of course, you want them to have the realization, but you can't check. What you can check is they know their stuff. They have this degree, you know, they have like a Geshe degree, which means they had to pass a series of exams over years and years and years. You know, you've watched them long enough to see that they rely on accurate sources. Their peers seem to agree that they're a smart cookie, you know, that kind of stuff. Because it's a good point. We want them to have these realizations, but we can't really tell. So you have to base purely on, do they have a good, solid intellectual understanding? And really what you're looking for is ethics, because ethics you can check. Yeah, so really when you're looking for a spiritual teacher, you're sussing ethics. And again, it's hard to know for sure, so you have to ask around, you have to watch how they are, and just check, yeah. They say check for 12 years, right? Not many people have that kind of time, but more than 12 hours, please, right? I've seen you folks, more than 12 hours, okay? Yeah, I've not.
You can also check the students, the people around the teacher.
You can, although there are some dodgy students of perfect teachers,
But
yeah,
if you
like
see
us.
many dodgy people, if you see many dodgy, it's a problem. But if you look at the
Yeah.
And I heard from Gengatsu once that he said that if you're taking refuge with a teacher, you're not taking him as your guru, really. Only when you do in tantric vows. You are. It's just at one level, right? It's not the same level as tantric vows. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. According to the Lamrim, it is. Yeah. Look, you're taking them as a representative of the Buddha, right? Whereas in tantric vows, you're taking them as the Buddha, right? So there is that distinction. But even seeing someone as a representative of the Buddha is a huge relationship to make. Yeah. So even that level, you want to tread carefully. Right? And not all teachers have been given permission to give refuge to students, right? It's something that their teachers have to suss and decide, right? So, yeah, it's important that you don't take it lightly and just, you know, because they're around, they're touring, you're like, yeah, let's get it from them. Like you're collecting trading cards, you know? Yeah, I've got it from them. Yeah, I've got it from them. You know, and people do that, so just be a little bit careful. Yeah, don't take it lightly, really suss them out. And it might be that a teacher is perfect, but they're not perfect for you,
right? And so you want to make sure you have a good karmic connection with them. You know, they might have perfect ethics, perfect knowledge, but they just, you know, it's not resonating with your way of being and your way of learning. And so by making that teacher-student-disciple connection with someone whose style you don't resonate with, you're just building in the potential for friction, which will create obstacles in your path. Yeah, so you just want to be a little bit careful. Yeah, just a bit careful. So the next one is no sexual misconduct. So that is not celibacy, right? Celibacy is no sex at all. This is no sexual misconduct. That means don't steal other people's partners, right? So that's fine, right? Everyone's on board, right? If you were dodgy in your past, you can tidy it up. Don't do it now, okay? Don't take other people's partners. And if you have a partner, don't cheat on them, right? Don't cheat. It's mean, right? It's mean. Don't do it. So if you have in the past, that's not a deal breaker. It just means from now on, don't. Yeah, from now on, don't. So there are many kinds of sexual misconduct, but the one that breaks it from the root is you know that that's someone else's partner and you take them, or you have a partner and you sleep with someone else. So knowingly, yeah. Now, sometimes on the list are serious things like rape, like child abuse, and sometimes they're not talked about because it's sort of a given that this isn't things regular, kind adults will get up to. Yeah? Regular, generally well-intended people might commit adultery, but it takes a real disturbed mind to do something like rape or child abuse. So sometimes they're not even mentioned because it's kind of a given. But just so you know, it is on the list, of course. Don't do those things, of course. But it's like it goes without saying, yeah, we would hope. Yeah. Yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah, so no sexual misconduct. Is it only, I mean, you said to break it, you need to commit adultery or take someone else's partner, but other than like the obvious things like rape and child abuse, is there other stuff there like to transgress? Like,
yeah, there's surface things like it's always embarrassing to say, like in the scripture it says if you have sex more than 5 times in a night, it's excessive. So you don't have the number they give it, so like don't get out of control, right? Right. So it's stuff like that, right? So it's when you're like kind of get yourself lost in it. Yeah, and you've kind of gotten into a weird space with it. Yeah, so like just don't get weird. Yeah, don't get weird. Don't get weird. Okay, so like that. And there is other stuff in there that if you were to read the historical texts are outdated, you know, that are things to do with hygiene and harm. And if it's no longer modern applicable, you can sort of put that to one side. Yeah. So then the last one is no intoxicants, and that's a branch. Right? Because that is not a natural misdeed. So intoxicants are like alcohol and drugs and
You can't even wine, red wine if you take this wine?
Depends on the teacher. So some teachers say don't drink to intoxication, right? So, you know, you can drink but not until you're drunk. You know, you got a 2-glass limit or something. It depends on the teacher, right? So you have to really know what is your teacher saying when you take the vow. And it's a branch, right? Because drinking is not a natural misdeed. It's neutral, right? It's neither good nor bad. It's just on there because under its influence, you might break the other 4, right? Right? So.
Geshe-la had the story.
Yes.
Yes, right? You know, the classic story. You want me to tell the story? The goat and the girl and the, yeah. So the story is that there was a monk, right, going to take shelter, right? A monk going to take shelter, and there was a sweet girl there, and she said to him something like, "Oh, please kill my goat, and, you know, because we should eat it." And he said, "No, I can't kill." And she said, "Oh, but I'm so lonely. At least sleep with me." And he was like, "No, I can't sleep with you." And then she said, "Well, at least have a glass of wine." And he's like, all right, I'll have a glass of wine. And then he, you know, kills the goat and sleeps with the girl. But then some lamas say, you know, that kills the girl and sleeps with the goat, right? Depending on the lama, right? Depends on the lama how they tell the story. So anyway, intoxicants, we know, right? So it's the intoxicant vow, honestly, like most lay people take 4 vows. Right, and you can guess which one they don't take. It's the intoxicant vow. And, you know, if you're not up for it and it's, you know, like culturally too difficult because there's just wine and so many family events and things and it's going to be weird, don't take it. But do start to think, what are the things you actively do to disturb your clarity? Right? It's so hard to do the right thing anyway. Why do we make it harder for ourselves, right? You know, what are the things you've said under the influence of something that you wish you hadn't said, right? That you wish you hadn't done. And some people are very friendly drunks, right? And they just say loving things and they just love everyone and it's a love fest and it's fine. But some people get real angry, you know, and some people get really cutting and, you know, so just sort of looking at, it's hard enough to restrain your mind. What can I do to keep its clarity? You know, even things that aren't on the list, you know, things like too much caffeine or too much sugar, things you know agitate the mind, just starting to very gently ease off or catch yourself, right? Like some of you will know this, like I know for myself, if I have black coffee on an empty stomach, I'm gonna be grumpy, right? Black coffee on an empty stomach, I'm going to be grumpy for no particular reason, nothing wrong, but I'll just have a background kind of unease. And so, despite sometimes I want black coffee on an empty stomach because I'm tired in the morning, I have to make sure I eat some breakfast, right? You know, it's just like a conscious, I don't want to make the lack of clarity in my mind worse. You know, so even if you're not taking this vow, to kind of have that in the background of, are there things I can do to keep myself clear, right? So to break it at the root is to drink, right? Or if your Lama has told you don't drink to intoxication, you drink to intoxication. Yeah. So those are the 5 lay vows that are optional. Do you guys have any questions about those? Pretty straightforward. Optional. Benefits. Do you see the benefits in doing something intentionally rather than sort of just passively? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Is there any other than primary refuge?
Huh?
Is there any other than primary refuge? Because it's written primary refuge.
Yeah, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, that's what makes you a Buddhist.
No, but why is it primary refuge?
Meaning not refuge in other things, right? Yeah,
ראשוני.
yeah.
פריימרי זה ראשוני.
The first and only.
הדבר הכי
Yeah.
בסיסי זה הסטנדרט הזה, ואחרי זה אם את רוצה הלאה, אז את מתקדמת.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So your primary refuge, right? So again, you can be using other things, but your core, right? Your core. Okay. So those are the 5 lay vows. They're called Genyin vows, or the vows of approaching virtue. And anyway, just food for thought. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, good? Sorted? Done? Okay. So no 8 worldly concerns. We're working on it, right? Whether we then add an actual refuge, up to you, but it will make life easier if we at least don't have false refuges. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do the Shakyamuni Buddha meditation now. The mantra that I'm using here is the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra. So it's Tayata Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. And if you're comfortable saying it along with me, you can. And if you're not comfortable, don't worry about it, right? Just go with the flow.
We sang it like.
Yeah. Yep.
Beautifully, so
Tibetan culture encourages chaos. Just join in, make it messy. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're messy. Yeah, what's happening? Everybody okay? Yeah? All right. Okay. No worries. All right, so the visualization that I'll describe is pretty much the same as this on your prayer sheet. So if you get lost, just look at that for a second and then bring it back into your mind's eye. Okay, and I'll just gently walk you through it so you don't have to remember anything in particular because I'll describe it. All right, so just take a minute and bring your focus back to the breath. And every breath is a decision to be focused, to be present, And so just gently keep making that decision again and again, watching the breath. And so if you're not comfortable using Buddhist iconography, imagine in the space in front of you just a brilliant golden light in the shape of a circle, radiating golden light. And if you are comfortable with Buddhist iconography, imagine in the space in front of you on a large jeweled throne, supported by 8 snow lions, 2 at each corner, like the base of a stupa. On top of that is a broad open lotus flower, multicolored and radiant. On top of that is a sun disk, and on top of that is a moon disk. The lotus, sun, and moon represent the 3 principal aspects of the path: renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view. Seated there, facing you, is Shakyamuni Buddha, golden in color, with 1 face and 2 arms. His right hand is stretched down. His left is in his lap, holding an alms bowl filled with wisdom nectar. His legs are in the full Vajra posture, stable and strong. He wears the robes of a monastic. His eyes are half open, looking directly at you and simultaneously at every single living being. His mouth gently smiling, his ears long. His hair is drawn up in a top knot. At the top is a crown pinnacle. And just stabilize that image as best as you can. Whether it's clear or not doesn't matter. Just have this sense of the presence. And think that this image represents and embodies all the positive qualities that are latent within yourself, as well as all those qualities that have been perfected in the holy beings. Compassion, wisdom, ability. And think that this image represents a perfect spiritual refuge that is free from fear, skilled in freeing others from fear, has great compassion, infinite support and aid in an unbiased way, completely impartial. And imagine that you generate a mind of respect, of that process of perfection that's been actualized in this figure. You present every kind of offering, actual and imagined. The beautiful flowers and clean, clear water set out here. All the light. And then mentally multiply all the offerings, adding everything beautiful. And then imagine that you lay bare and confess all negativities from beginningless time. Just having a very honest, humble, and open mind that exposes all that has happened. And this object of refuge sees it all with perfect compassion and understanding. And you rejoice in both yourself and others' positive actions. Every moment of goodwill, every moment of patience, every time you chose the higher ground rather than the superficial. And then imagine requesting this object of refuge to stay until the end of cyclic existence, to stay until the end of suffering. And request your object of refuge to continually teach the methods to free yourself from fear. And in response, from the heart center of your object of refuge, comes a stream of radiant white light, which curves in an arc to the crown of your head and flows through you. And white light flows through you, purifying your body, speech, and mind, unhooking you from your negative habits, clearing stress and worry. And together with the image of white light purifying you, adding the mantra 7 times together. Taya ta hom mune mune maha munae soha. Taya ta hom mune mune maha munae soha. Taya ta Taya ta hom mune mune maha munae soha. Taya ta hom mune mune maha munae soha. Taya ta Maha Munae So. continuing the mantra silently under your breath, together with the visualization of purifying white light. Ayata. And feel purified. And then from the heart center of your object of refuge comes a stream of golden light, curving in an arc to the crown of your head and filling you up with warm golden light, ripening all your positive qualities of body, speech, and mind, all the wisdom and ability, all the compassion and love, all forms of peace. And so just stabilize that visualization of golden light flowing through you, filling you. And adding the mantra. Taya Daya Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Taya Daya Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Taya Continuing under your breath, together with golden light. And now visualize that your object of refuge in the space in front dissolves into light and reappears at the crown of your head. And if it feels comfortable, you can absorb and imagine him reappearing at your heart center, or else keeping him at the crown of your head. And from the heart of the Shakyamuni Buddha, either at your own heart center or at your crown, rays of light go out in all directions. And at the tip of each ray of light is another Buddha. And imagine all these enlightened beings go to every single sentient being, assisting their path, bringing relief and benefit. Send this light and these enlightened beings to all the people in your life one by one. And then gradually expand it outward to all the people of this country and this area, until gradually you encompass the whole world with this light, with this goodwill, with this enlightened activity. Sending light further and further out. And together with the light going out, adding the mantra. Taya ta hom mune mune maha munaye soha. 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 Continuing under your breath, light continuing out. Tayata Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha. And imagine that the Buddhas at each of the sentient beings' crowns absorbs into them, blessing their body, speech, and mind. That the environment becomes pure, free of conflict and disease, natural disasters. And just for a minute, imagine that future possibility here in the present. And all sentient beings and environment dissolve into light, and that light gathers back and absorbs into you. And then think to yourself, through the power of these positive actions, may we quickly achieve this state of enlightenment in order to assist all living beings to that enlightened state. And in particular, dedicating for peace in the Middle East. And for anyone suffering from illness, physical or mental, in particular, Orit. Okay.
Thank you very much.
What's the meaning of
The short answer is Tayata usually means it is thus, or it's like this, right? Sort of sets you up. It's like this. And then the Om is the body, speech, and mind, the enlightened body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. Right? Om. Yeah. And then the Muni, Muni, Mahamuniye, that's describing those three scopes that we talked about at the beginning. Yeah, the three capacities of sentient beings. So basically the whole path to enlightenment. The removal of the stains of each of those beings, right? So removing the temporary and the ultimate and the subtle and all of the obscurations, all of the negative emotions, all of their habits, the removal of all of that, right? So Muni, Muni, Mahamuniye is 1, 2, 3 scopes, right? Small, middling, and great. And then the Soha in general means, may the meaning of that mantra take root in my heart. Like, so be it, yeah? May it be this, yeah?
Amen.
Bit like an amen, yep. Yeah, bit like an amen. So that's the short explanation. There's a whole, long explanation, but that's the quick one. Om, the enlightened body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, right? Ah. Okay, so any quick questions before we finish? Okay, so your homework, should you choose to accept it, is to catch yourself falling into the traps of the 8 worldly concerns. Perhaps you would like to choose 1 or 2 as your project, but just to sort of watch for it, to unhook yourself. Yeah, just kind of watch for one. So if you'd like, that could be your project for the week, and next week we'll go even more deeply with this topic. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.